Hey, it's Larry. Welcome to Stewarding the Wealth Transfer. Well, today I think is going to be a really interesting topic because I want to ask you, what is your philosophy of money? What is your understanding of the nuances of investing? And I think it's such an important question because I had a fascinating conversation yesterday with one of the most successful people in the small town that I live in. And so it was actually in the gym because I started going back to the gym again. And so I saw him in the gym, and I don't know if you know this because some of you know me, but most of you don't. And, I ask God questions. And so I went up to him and I said, hey, I got a weird question for you, but I got to tell you, if somebody gave me $2 million right now and I had to do something with it, I wouldn't know what to do with it. But I think that that's your situation. He goes, Larry, that's exactly my situation. He goes, I can't believe you're asking me that because I have no idea what to do. And so it's funny what a good question will do. And so there was nobody else around. And so he just was really candid with me about their situation. And he was very honest with the financial model that he's pursued over the course of his life. And I assure you, he's worth more than 10 million now. And he told me that he had 4 free and clear homes, and he has 2 million he doesn't know what to do with, and he has 6 million already in his, with his investors, or not his investors, with his advisors. And I was talking about that, because I wouldn't want $6 million in the stock market, and he doesn't know that he wants it either, but he doesn't know what else to do with it. And he's not a Christian, and I just appreciated his candor. But I wonder about you. What is your philosophy of money? What would you do? I believe that so many of you on this channel are going to be worth far more than what this guy is worth. And he built the best that he knows how to build. And that's what everybody does. He's very diligent. He's a hardworking guy. He hasn't always had to work hard. He has a lot of fun. They've bought houses where they like to be. He likes to spend a month a year in Hawaii in one of their houses they've had. They've had it for a long time. He views it as an investment. I think he acknowledges it doesn't make a lot of money, but it does, cover itself. And then he's got another one like that. So he kind of Airbnbs these cool vacation homes. And then he's got a third vacation home, and I think it's more in hundreds of acres somewhere, like in Wyoming or something. And then, he might be worth 15 million. I don't know. He told me that he's making well under 100,000 a year. He actually said 5,000 a month off the 6 million. And I couldn't figure that out. I was like, why would you be happy with such a small return? And I don't know how he's doing that. And it really doesn't matter. Maybe I shared too much. I just hold this guy in high regard as a friend and as a community member. He's a good guy, cares about the community. But I think I want this to illustrate the idea of what is your financial model? What is your financial philosophy? What are you going to do, and what do you understand, and what are you wrestling with? Because the model that we have in our mind is going to impact what you're going to do. There's also a guy, and I'm just going to say his first name, and you either know him or you don't. And he's a truther, and his name is Phil. And one of the most irritating sources of information, but I think he does have good information. But he's very braggadocious, and he likes to tell everybody how many houses, and he uses the Airbnb model. And I do think that a lot of people have made money in Airbnb, and I do think that people will make money in Airbnb. I don't think the next 2 years are the time to be an Airbnb person, especially if you have debt on the houses. Now, it's obviously if you are successful, then you're successful. But my brother's got friends, and I've had pretty good conversations with people. And one of his friends has 5 Airbnbs, and that's about as much as they can own, because if they can't get their cleaner people to clean in the 2-hour window between the people moving out and the people moving in, they really can't clean for more than 2 hours. So they try to have a 4-hour gap, but not everybody likes that. And so the Airbnb model is really limited by how affordably can you get somebody to do a great job, on cleaning up between the time that somebody moves out and somebody moves in. And so some people think that that's a great model. And I think it was during COVID. I don't think it is now. That's just my bias. I think it's complicated. I think it's high end. I mean, I know that we don't like to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars a night. Not saying that we never do. It's just we normally don't. And so we don't do that. We'd rather stay in a Holiday Inn or something, a nice. We don't stay in real fancy hotels. And I think it's because I always pay for it with my money. Even if it's my company's paying for it, I still look at it as my money. And so I just don't want to spend $200 or $300 or $400 or $600. Have I done that? Yeah, I've done it, but that's not how we roll normally. And but what about your philosophy of money? What is your model? And what I realized is this guy who's one of the most successful guys in our town. He's my dog's having a very needy moment right here. This guy has built a model. Let's say he's worth $12 million, and yet he just sold an asset that I would estimate over the last few years has paid them $500,000 a year. They took a 4-year multiple for that. Maybe they were only making, and I'm not saying only as in it's chump change, because it's not. Maybe they were just making $1,000 a day. So maybe he was making $25,000 a month. I don't know what he was making, but I think probably 35 or 40,000 is what I think probably their net was. He's never said. He had to work at it, and his wife would work at it, and I knew him, and I would see him in there. And now he's got all this worth, but he doesn't have any cash flow. And the nuances of that are, I'm not worried about whether he's going to make it or not, but I think he's going to have to deplete his assets. And his assets are very unfungible, meaning that they don't move around very well. If you've got 4 houses that are all worth over $1 million, you might think that's really great. But in 2008, 2009, those weren't worth very much. Right now, they might still be worth $1 million, but nobody's going to buy them. And yet gold, you guys, has now, it broke the record again today. I think it crossed $2,675 today. There's now been 8 days in September that gold has hit new heights, just like there was, by the way I count, 8 days in August. And I've told you, Kim Clement said, watch gold, watch that one thing. It's going to be an indicator that this is the summer, even though we're now in the fall. This is the summer that there's going to be a great transfer of wealth. I'm really excited and I'm anticipating, but I'm telling you that we are entering one of the most crazy, difficult investment times if you apply traditional wisdom. This guy was really concerned. He goes, I've already got 6 million. I've made so much. I mean, that was only 3 million a couple of years at the beginning of COVID. I think it was 3 million. I think it's turned into 6 million since COVID. And now he's got 2 more, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And his advisors are charging all these fees. And I said, are you basically paying a percent? He goes, well, it depends how I do it. But he goes, I'm going to have to start taking cash flow, and it's not really generating a lot of cash flow. He goes, I don't think I'll need it. But I don't I've seen people that build business models, they build paradigms, they build financial models that don't make sense. And so as you come into tremendous wealth, what are you going to do to cash flow? What are you going to do so that you can be a giver and not be worried about things? I mean, having all kinds of metals is stressful, because to liquidate those metals, if you hold them yourselves, you've got to figure out how to get down to wherever you're going to trade them in. But I mean, if you have a bunch of money in the bank, how do you know that bank's going to be good? If you have a bunch of money in stocks, I think there's many brokers. Julie Green's talked about it, and so have other people. And it just pragmatically, the secular people are talking about, a lot of the brokers are allowing shares to be borrowed. And if they get a fee, maybe for your stock that you think that you've got 1,000 shares of, what if they can get $1 for every day they loan out those shares? What if every single day they loan out those shares? What if twice a day they loan out those shares to make $2 on your 1,000 shares? And then let's say everything goes boom, because those of us who believe in the 8 wells that Kim Clement prophesied are anticipating the Dow going to 20,000. I think, and that's called rehypothecating shares, when they lend those shares out for a fee. And those brokers are going to be in deep trouble when they have loaned out your 1,000 shares twice a day for the past 3 years. And now they've only got people that owe them, let's say 1,000 or let's say 10,000 shares of your stock, whatever it is, and they're not going to be able to get it to 2 of the people, much less 1,000 of the people, because those people who lose all the money that they borrowed they're going to lose all their money, and those shares aren't coming back. I think that people build very poor models for wealth, and the rules that have worked historically are not going to work very well. And I just want to say, I can't believe how wise I think Kim Clement was with the model that he came up with, that when I first heard about it 3 years ago, the 8 wells of blessing, there's technologies that are coming. And I can't believe even what President Trump talks about, because when you hear his plan, somebody said, what's your plan to make things cheaper? He said something like, the lubrication for everything, it's the common denominator of wealth for prices is fuel and energy. And if you can get energy down, then everything else has the possibility to go more smoothly and more efficiently. And he goes, we are going, to drill, baby, drill. We're going, and he alluded to the idea of new energies that they're going to bring online. And I think he's talking about the Big E. I think President Trump knows about the Big E. Kim Clement talked about precious metals and about how they're going to skyrocket, and they are skyrocketing. Silver is almost to the high of the year right now. Gold is setting a new high nearly every day over the last 8 of the last 12 days. There's been new highs in gold. 8 days last month. Kim Clement saw precious metals. XRP, it's still so cheap. If you guys don't have any, I don't know what you're thinking. I use Uphold. I can't believe how solid of an opportunity I think it is. I think BBB is going to be a fantastic investment. I see investor after investor. These are talking heads. These are metal experts. And they're saying time and time again, they're saying there's a whole disconnect because the equity markets are so messed up. And so miners are just at the bottom of the barrel, yet metal prices are going crazy. And so smart money is starting to go after the miners because they're lagging indicators of what's going to happen. And, Kim Clement talked about this company called Brixton Metals. He didn't know what it was called, but he called BBB. And so I think the prophetic is like all these things are lining up like more than I could ever imagine of what's going on. And I think the thing is, you need to be praying and seeking God for the model that you're going to do. Because if you're like the guy named Phil, who's the truther, I think he's got 24 different homes. And that's his model of wealth. Because people build models of what they like. That's like what a king would do. And a lot of kings are really stupid. And they end up having to borrow money from families like the Rothschilds, which is how the Rothschilds got their original money. As one wise Rothschild had his sons go across, I think, from Venice to Paris and all over, and they would lend gold to each other, and they were able to shift gold around with paper notes, kind of teaching and laying the groundwork for the notes that we have now, because we used to have silver certificates. Even as a kid, I remember silver certificates. My dad had some. And I think that paper money, which we've got used to fiat, is now shifting and it's moving towards digital. And if you don't like that, that's fine. But I believe it's the next generation of money. And I think that XRP most perfectly represents the next generation of money. And I'm not saying to sell everything and buy it, but if you don't have some, you're going to regret it, because it's as silly as somebody who didn't see, just the transformation of what's going on. But as you come into money, as the blessings of God come your way, what are you going to build? Are you going to buy assets that are actually fungible, that are movable, that are transferable, that are investable, that are going to provide cash flow? Or are you going to buy castles around the area? And there's not enough princes and princesses to afford to use those castles. So you need to understand the nuances of money so that you don't make stupid decisions as you come into a whole bunch of money, because you're going to regret it. And so I would think that you want to go, what I like to do is I like to have rentals that, depending on the area where I'm at, what's the most need. Where I'm at, there's not a lot of nice rental housing. It's just, I live in a town of 50,000 and there's not a lot of new product that has come in. Now, recently there has been more. But I want to be where nobody else is, with the people that really appreciate what I bring to the market, so that they'll continue to pay me. So I am able to fill a slightly upper end market. With my storage, I also have a mini storage, which is a fantastic business, and because it's scalable. And it's duplicatable, and if you get it big enough, if you need to get it over 50,000 square feet, so you can afford to have a full-time manager, but then you don't need to really work that much. And I think work is a very good thing. But when you have a business, some people start a business just to have a job. Some people start a business to provide a bunch of employees a position, and they just work themselves almost silly, but they're building an organization, and then, hopefully they're making more and more money, but then it just becomes this enormous operation and they don't know how to scale it down. I don't think that's what I want to do. I've been there. I've had, I've never had probably more than 15 employees, but I've had 25 or 35 subs per day on my job. So I'm having 50 people do things right and do things wrong, and millions of dollars going out, and that's super stressful. It's not, it probably is where I'm going to be for a while, but it's not where I want to stay. And then there's scalable jobs where you just start building the same thing time and time again. It's really easy. It's a little bit like at McDonald's. I'm not saying I want a McDonald's, but McDonald's has figured out how to make hamburgers. Starbucks figured out how to deliver coffee. It's efficient, it's profitable, it's the same, and it's so easy. Whenever you build new exotic things, it's always hard. So what is your plan? What is your paradigm for what your wealth is going to look like. And so I am really excited to see what these 8 wells of blessing are going to look like. I'm going to buy some more dinar. I'm going to buy some more XRP. I'm enjoying watching the price of precious metals as they go up, and I think I'm going to start moving toward other things. I uh, I think I think Brixton Metals is going to be a phenomenal return, but it's only going to be a great investment if it turns into a great investment. So I've allocated towards that. I can't wait till the big E becomes available, and I'm very confident that Kim Clement makes it clear that it will begin to come into existence during the spring. And by late spring, he makes allusion you better have invested in it. I don't think it's any mistake that Donald Trump wants to develop energy as he comes and as he will become, I believe, our next leader. I think it's going to be extremely tumultuous. I still am the guy that believes in pandemonium, pandemonium, pandemonium. And the more I hear about the immigration situation and what's going to happen, I think October is going to be pandemonium like nobody's business. I think we're going to have a tremendous financial collapse, but I think God's got it. So I just wanted, the main thing is, what kind of model are you going to build? Do you understand staking? And I've never done it, but that's when you've got cryptocurrencies and you allow them to be allocated towards an exchange or a third party, and then they pay you interest or they pay you in different ways. If you're going to be primarily a crypto person because you don't understand or have a passion to do real estate like I do, I think there's far more money to be made in crypto than there is real estate right now in 2024. In 2025, I think real estate will come down. I think crypto will have exploded. And I would way rather have millions of dollars worth of physical assets that are rentable and paying me money every month and I can see them and nobody can take them than having $1 billion in this and I can't even see it, and some, Russian might take it from me, or, I'm not trying to pick on Russians, but some hacker might be able to hack my phone and take it. So I get nervous about having money, and I think you do too, online and accessible. So I just want to challenge you to prayerfully consider the nuances of what you're building, because what you decide to build, it will end up resembling what you hope for, what your highest aspirations are. Don't buy a bunch of castles. Get things that cash flow. Target the needs of your community. What are the things that you have capacity, and what are the things that you have difficulty? Don't go where you have no idea, no passion, and it's difficult for you. If you have a wheelchair and you're elderly and you have no history of fixing things up, then don't go into property management and remodeling. You may still buy real estate, but you would get nicer things that don't need to be turned over. If you're young and have a lot of energy and some skills and willingness to fix up, it can be a great thing. It all depends how much capital you have and how much time. But I don't think yet is the time for real estate. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I'm really excited that what Kim Clement had to say is coming to true. They're lining up to be fantastic investments. I couldn't be more excited about. And I'm curious what the other ones are going to look like the oak tree, which I think is a pharmaceutical thing that will come into light, I think, in 2025. And I believe that this wealth transfer is going to last for 4 years, just like the revival is going to last for 4 years. So I'm excited. I want to encourage you guys, have a good one, and prayerfully continue to develop your models and your understanding of finance so that you can honor God with seeking first his kingdom as you hold wealth for the kingdom of God. Have a great day. Bye.